Human gives alien girl a leg massage. You won't believe what happened next. The galactic Nexus station hung like a polished diamond against the velvet backdrop of space, its gleaming spires and transparent domes reflecting starlight in hypnotic patterns. Through one of its docking bays, the transport shuttle Resolute glided to a perfect landing, its thrusters cooling with a soft hiss. Commander Archer Ray stepped onto the station's immaculate deck, his muscular frame barely contained by his form-fitting, gray athletic outfit. A sleeveless tank that revealed well-defined arms and short training shorts that showcased powerful legs. His light brown hair fell in casual waves across his forehead, still damp from the quick shower he'd taken after the mission debriefing. 12 hours of shore leave, Commander, Captain Harrington had told him. Use it wisely. You've earned it. The Proxima Centauri peacekeeping mission had been a clusterfuck from the start. Diplomatic tensions, covert operations, and finally an extraction under heavy fire. But they'd pulled it off without casualties, and Archer had personally carried an injured ambassador to safety while returning fire. Just another day at the office for an Alliance Special Operations medic. Now, all he wanted was a stiff drink and some downtime before the next crisis demanded his attention. The panoramic lounge occupied the uppermost level of the station's central hub, offering breathtaking views of surrounding space. Archer found a quiet corner table and ordered a Martian whiskey. Neat. The amber liquid burned pleasantly as it went down, loosening the knots of tension in his shoulders. That's when he saw her. She sat alone at the bar, her turquoise skin luminous under the ambient lighting. Silver hair cascaded over slender shoulders, contrasting beautifully with her exotic complexion. Her black patent bodysuit resembled a swimsuit with an incredibly deep neckline that left little to the imagination. But what caught Archer's attention wasn't her striking appearance. It was the way she winced every time she shifted position, her hand occasionally reaching down to massage her calf. Years of medical training kicked in, overriding his desire for solitude. He approached casually, whiskey in hand. "Muscle strain?" he asked, nodding toward her leg. She turned, startled, revealing eyes of such intense blue they seemed to glow from within. Her pupils narrowed slightly, a non-human physiological response as she assessed him. "What business is it of yours, human?" Her voice carried a melodic quality despite the sharp tone. Archer shrugged. "Just an observation. I'm a field medic. That looks like a grade 2 soleus strain, judging by how you're favoring it." She regarded him with suspicion, one elegant eyebrow arched. "And I suppose you're offering to help out of the goodness of your heart?" "Actually, yes," he smiled, taking the empty seat beside her. "Commander Archer Ray, Alliance of Special Operations." After a moment's hesitation, she replied, "Iona Naveri. No rank or affiliation." "Interesting. Well, Iona, I could help with that leg if you'd like. Simple massage techniques can reduce recovery time by up to 60%. She snorted delicately. "I've heard that line before. Is this how humans typically initiate mating rituals?" Archer laughed. "If it were a line, it would be a terrible one. I'm just offering professional assistance. Take it or leave it." Iona studied him for a long moment, then gestured to the empty lounge seat beside her. "Very well, Commander. Show me this miraculous human healing technique." Archer moved to the cushioned bench, creating space for her to extend her leg. When she hesitated, he added, "I've treated dozens of species. Professional courtesy only." With obvious reluctance, she pivoted and extended her leg across his lap. The smooth turquoise skin felt cool beneath his fingertips as he gently probed the muscle. "This might be uncomfortable at first," he warned, finding the tight knot of muscle tissue. His thumbs pressed in with practiced precision, applying firm pressure to the exact trigger point. Iona inhaled sharply, her back stiffening. Then as he continued working the muscle with methodical pressure, her eyes widened in surprise. You're doing something incredible," she exclaimed, the pain visibly dissipating from her expression. "How are you?" "Targeting the fascial adhesions while stimulating blood flow to the damaged tissue," he explained, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. "Human massage techniques developed over thousands of years. We might be newcomers to galactic society, but we've had plenty of time to figure out how to fix our own bodies." As he worked, he noticed the subtle changes in her posture, the relaxation of her shoulders, the softening of her expression. The initial suspicion in her eyes gave way to something else entirely. "So what happened?" he asked, focusing on a particularly tight knot. "This kind of strain doesn't happen from casual walking." Iona hesitated before answering. "Training accident. I was practicing some defensive maneuvers." Archer nodded, not pressing further despite recognizing the evasion. The muscle damage pattern suggested something more intense than simple defense training. "Almost done," he said, applying final pressure to release the remaining tension. "How does it feel now?" Iona flexed her foot experimentally, eyes widening in surprise. "The pain is gone." She stood, testing her weight on the leg, then executed a perfect pivot that would have been impossible minutes earlier. "Completely gone." "Good as new," Archer confirmed, finishing his whiskey. "Just try to avoid whatever defensive maneuvers caused it for at least 48 hours. He expected her to leave immediately. Their brief interaction concluded. Instead, she slid back onto the seat beside him, signaling the bartender. "2 Centaurian brandies," she ordered, then turned to Archer with a smile that transformed her already beautiful face into something breathtaking. "The least I can do is buy you a proper drink, Commander. That swill you're drinking is an insult to actual whiskey." Archer raised an eyebrow. "You know human spirits." "I make it my business to know many things," she replied, accepting the iridescent blue drinks from the bartender. She handed one to Archer, their fingers brushing momentarily. "Especially about cultures that interest me." The brandy tasted like liquid starlight, smooth, warm, with complex notes that evolved as it traveled down his throat. Archer couldn't help the appreciative sound that escaped him. "Good, isn't it?" Iona's smile turned playful. "There are many pleasures in this galaxy that humans have yet to discover." The subtle shift in her tone wasn't lost on him, nor was the way her gaze lingered on his arms and chest. "I'm always eager to learn," he replied, matching her smile with one of his own. Neither of them noticed the 3 figures watching from across the lounge, their expressions darkening as they observed the unexpected connection forming between the human and the turquoise-skinned woman. "That's her," one whispered. "The Invari heiress." "And that's our problem," another replied, eyes narrowing. "The human needs to disappear. Now." The Centaurian brandy loosened Archer's tongue as the hours slipped by. The panoramic lounge gradually emptied until only a handful of patrons remained, scattered across the vast space like distant stars. "So you're telling me," Iona said, leaning closer, her silver hair brushing his shoulder, "that humans actually willingly jump out of perfectly functional aircraft for entertainment?" Archer laughed. "Skydiving is considered quite tame by adrenaline junkie standards. Some climb mountains without safety equipment or swim with predatory marine life." "Fascinating." Her blue eyes sparkled with genuine interest. "Your species continually surprises me. Most galactic civilizations evolved away from risk-taking behaviors once they achieved technological stability. Maybe that's why we've advanced so quickly," Archer suggested. "We never stop pushing boundaries. Or perhaps it's why you're so..." Her gaze traveled appreciatively over his physique. "That's physically impressive. Natural selection favoring the bold." The air between them seemed to electrify. Archer found himself studying the subtle patterns in her turquoise skin, how it shimmered slightly under the ambient lighting, creating an almost luminescent effect. "I should thank you properly for fixing my leg," Iona said, her voice dropping to a more intimate register. "In my culture, there are several traditional ways to express gratitude for healing." Before Archer could respond, a shadow fell across their table. 3 imposing figures loomed over them. 2 males and a female of a species Archer recognized as Dravarian. Their gray, leathery skin and prominent facial ridges gave them a naturally menacing appearance, enhanced by the military-grade combat suits they wore. "Ninvari," the largest male growled. "Your father's looking for you." Iona's expression cooled instantly. "I wasn't aware my father employed Dravarian mercenaries as messengers." "We're not messengers," the female Dravarian said, her hand resting casually on a weapon holstered at her hip. "We're your escort, now." Archer remained seated but shifted his weight subtly, ready to move if necessary. The tension in the air was palpable. "I'm afraid I'm occupied at present," Iona replied, her tone deceptively light. "Please inform my father I'll contact him in the morning." The lead Dravarian's eyes narrowed. That wasn't a request. His gaze shifted to Archer. This human is not authorized for contact with House Invari personnel. Archer raised an eyebrow. I wasn't aware I needed authorization to share a drink with someone. You don't, Iona interjected firmly. And these individuals have no authority whatsoever. She stood gracefully. Commander Ray is my guest this evening. If my father wishes to speak with me, he can use the proper channels. The mercenaries exchanged glances. The female's hand tightened on her weapon. That would be unwise, Archer said quietly, his relaxed posture belying his combat readiness. Station regulations prohibit drawing weapons in civilian areas. Carries a minimum 5-year sentence in a mining colony. The standoff stretched for several tense seconds before the lead Dravarian stepped back. This isn't over, he growled. Your father won't be pleased. He rarely is, Iona replied coolly. Good evening, gentlemen, lady. The mercenaries retreated, but not before casting threatening glances at Archer. When they were out of earshot, Archer turned to Iona. House Invari, as in the Invari conglomerate that controls half the antimatter production in this sector? Iona sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly. I was hoping to avoid that particular topic. Yes, that Invari. So you're not just any Iona, but Lady Iona in Invari, heiress to one of the largest corporate empires in the quadrant. Archer shook his head with a wry smile. No wonder you recognized my swill for what it was. Does it matter? There was a hint of vulnerability in her question. Archer considered for a moment. Only if you want it to. Her expression softened. I don't. Not tonight. She glanced toward the retreating mercenaries. Though I should probably relocate, they'll report back and more will come. I thought they had no authority. They don't, but my father is persistent. She hesitated. My private suite has excellent security. Would you care to continue our conversation there? I still owe you that proper thank you. The invitation hung between them, its implications clear. Archer felt a pull toward her that transcended mere physical attraction. Something in her eyes spoke of kindred spirits, of shared understanding despite their different origins. I'd like that, he said simply. As they left the lounge, Archer noticed an urgent message notification blinking on his comm unit. Captain Harrington requesting immediate contact. He silenced it without reading further. Whatever crisis had emerged could wait a few hours. Iona's suite occupied an entire section of the station's executive level. As the security doors whispered shut behind them, she turned to face him, suddenly close enough that he could feel the coolness radiating from her skin. You should know, she said softly, that relations between humans and Azurians are uncommon. There are physiological differences. Archer smiled. I'm a field medic, remember? Xenophysiology was part of my training. Theory and practice are quite different, she replied, her fingers tracing the contour of his jaw with feather-light precision. My people experience sensations more intensely than humans. It can be overwhelming. I'm not easily overwhelmed, he murmured, his hand finding the small of her back, drawing her closer. Her lips, when they met his, were cool at first, then warmed rapidly. The contact sent an unexpected current through his body, like static electricity, but infinitely more pleasant. Her silver hair twined around his fingers, as if alive, and the subtle patterns on her skin began to glow faintly. That's, new, he breathed when they parted. Iona's eyes had darkened to a deep cobalt. Bioluminescent response to arousal, she explained, a smile playing at her lips. One of many differences you're about to discover. As clothing was discarded and they moved toward the bedroom, neither noticed the small surveillance drone hovering outside the panoramic window, its lens focusing on their every move, transmitting directly to a secure terminal where a stern-faced Azurian male watched with growing fury. Archer awoke to the gentle hum of environmental systems and the cool sensation of Iona's skin against his. The night had been a revelation. Her bioluminescent patterns had pulsed with increasing intensity during their most intimate moments, bathing the room in ethereal blue light. The physiological differences she'd mentioned proved fascinating rather than challenging, creating a connection that transcended mere physical pleasure. She slept peacefully beside him, silver hair splayed across the pillow like liquid moonlight. In repose, she looked younger, unburdened by whatever responsibilities came with being Invari. His comm unit buzzed insistently from the floor where he'd discarded it. With a sigh, Archer carefully extracted himself from Iona's embrace and retrieved the device. Captain Harrington's stern face appeared on the small screen. "Commander, acknowledge immediately." "Acknowledged, sir," Archer replied quietly, moving to the suite's adjoining room. "Your mission parameters have changed. The Proxima situation was a cover." Archer felt a chill that had nothing to do with the room's temperature. "Sir, your real assignment begins now. An Envari conglomerate is developing illegal neural weapons. We need confirmation and evidence." The captain's words hit like physical blows. Archer glanced toward the bedroom where Iona slept. Intelligence indicates the heiress, Iona Navari, may have access to the relevant data. Your encounter with her was unexpected but provides an opportunity. "You want me to use her?" Archer stated flatly. Harrington's expression hardened. "I want you to complete your mission, Commander. The neural tech they're developing could enslave entire populations. Billions of lives against your conscience. Make the call." The transmission ended, leaving Archer staring at his reflection in the blank screen. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Had intelligence known Iona would be at that lounge? Had his shore leave been orchestrated from the start? "Trouble?" Iona's voice came from behind him. Archer turned to find her wrapped in a shimmering robe, her expression guarded. How much had she heard? "Just my commanding officer," he replied, keeping his voice neutral. "Apparently my leave is being cut short." "I see." She moved to the suite's food synthesizer, programming it for morning beverages. "That's unfortunate timing. I received a formal summons from the family council while you were speaking with your captain." She handed him a steaming mug, what smelled remarkably like coffee. "My father is displeased with my choice of company. The council demands my immediate appearance to discuss appropriate conduct befitting a Envari heir." Archer accepted the drink, his mind racing. This could be exactly the opportunity intelligence needed. Access to the inner sanctum of Envari operations. All he had to do was play along, gather information, and potentially betray the woman who'd shared her bed with him. "Sounds delightful," he said dryly, buying time to think. Iona's laugh held little humor. "It will be excruciating, which is why I'd like you to accompany me." Archer nearly choked on his coffee. "You want to bring me, the cause of their displeasure, to face your family?" "Precisely." Her eyes gleamed with mischief. "Nothing irritates my father more than a direct challenge. Besides, I could use someone with combat training at my back. Family meetings can become volatile." The request created the perfect cover for his mission. Too perfect. Archer studied her face, searching for signs of manipulation or deception. Was she playing him just as he was supposed to play her? "Is that wise?" he asked carefully. "Wisdom has little to do with Envari politics." She approached him, placing a cool hand against his chest. "Last night was extraordinary. The way you touched me, the sensations you awakened. I've never experienced anything like it with my own kind." Her fingers traced patterns on his skin, mimicking the massage techniques he'd used on her leg. "Your hands seem to know exactly where to apply pressure, when to be gentle, when to be firm. It's as though you can read my body's responses." Archer caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. "Human instinct," he murmured against her fingers. "We're very adaptable." "Indeed." Her eyes darkened to that deep cobalt again. "I'd very much like to continue exploring that adaptability. But first, I need to secure my position with the Council. Having you there sends a message that I choose my own path." The sincerity in her voice made his chest tighten with guilt. Whatever game was being played, Iona's feelings seemed genuine, or she was an exceptional actress. His mission demanded he accept her invitation. His conscience demanded honesty. The two were incompatible. "When is this meeting?" he asked, making his decision. 2 hours, enough time to prepare." She smiled, interpreting his question as acceptance. "I'll have appropriate attire delivered for you. Envari formal councils have strict protocols." As she turned away to make arrangements, Archer's comm unit vibrated once. A text-only message from intelligence. "Proceed. Gather evidence of neural tech." Authorization for full infiltration granted. Archer deleted the message immediately, a plan forming in his mind. He would attend this council meeting, but not as the obedient intelligence operative Captain Harrington expected. He needed to know the truth about the weapons, about Iona, about his own role in what was increasingly feeling like a complex manipulation. One question, he called to Iona, what exactly does your family conglomerate specialize in besides antimatter production? She paused, her back to him. Biotechnology primarily. Medical applications. She turned, her expression carefully neutral. Why do you ask? Professional curiosity, he replied with an easy smile that didn't reach his eyes. After all, I am a medic. Their gazes locked in silent assessment, each searching for truth in the other's eyes, neither willing to reveal how much they knew or suspected. The game had begun. The Invari Council Chamber resembled a cathedral of commerce, soaring ceilings with holographic displays of financial markets, walls lined with rare artifacts from a dozen worlds, and at its center, a circular table of polished black stone where 7 Azurians sat in rigid formality. Archer felt distinctly out of place despite the tailored attire Iona had provided. A fitted charcoal suit with subtle blue accents that complemented her natural coloring. The fabric moved like liquid against his skin, probably worth more than 6 months of his military salary. Remember, Iona whispered as they approached, show no weakness. Invari respects strength above all else. At the head of the table sat an imposing Azurian male with silver-streaked hair and piercing eyes that matched Iona's in color, but lacked any warmth. Patriarch Theron Invari didn't rise as they entered, merely tracking their approach with predatory focus. Daughter, he acknowledged coldly, you bring an outsider to family matters. Father, Iona replied with equal frost, I bring my personal security consultant. Recent events have made such precautions necessary. Archer maintained a professional stance slightly behind her right shoulder, scanning each council member. Most regarded him with thinly veiled disdain, but one, a younger male with facial markings similar to Iona's, showed genuine curiosity. Your consultant is human, observed an elderly female counselor, her tone suggesting she'd identified something unpleasant. Their species has no standing in galactic commerce accords. Commander Ray's species is irrelevant, Iona countered smoothly. His qualifications are not. Theron's gaze shifted to Archer. And what qualifications merit bringing an Alliance military officer into our private councils? The direct acknowledgement of his military status confirmed Archer's suspicion. They'd run background checks the moment he'd been seen with Iona. Before he could respond, the chamber's security system blared a piercing alarm. Holographic displays flickered, replaced by a security feed showing armed figures storming through the station's executive level. Perimeter breach, announced an automated voice. Hostile forces detected. Security countermeasures engaged. The younger male counselor, who'd shown interest in Archer, leapt to his feet. Dravarian mercenary signatures. They've bypassed the primary security grid. Talon, seal the chamber, Theron ordered sharply. Too late, Talon replied, fingers dancing across a control panel. They've already... The massive doors to the council chamber exploded inward in a shower of debris. Through the smoke strode a squad of heavily armed Dravarians, the same ones who had confronted them in the lounge, now reinforced with additional troops. Archer reacted instantly, shoving Iona behind a pillar as plasma fire erupted across the chamber. He drew a concealed sidearm from his ankle holster, standard procedure for special operations, even on shore leave. Stay down, he commanded, returning fire with precise shots that dropped 2 attackers immediately. The council members scattered for cover, some drawing weapons of their own. Talon slid beside Archer, producing a sleek pistol. Not bad for a human, he remarked, picking off another mercenary. I see why my sister keeps you around. Sister? Archer glanced at him while reloading. Half-brother, Iona clarified from behind the pillar. The only family member worth acknowledging. A grenade arced toward their position. Archer lunged, catching it mid-air and hurling it back toward the attackers with a precision that spoke of extensive combat training. The resulting explosion cleared a temporary path. The secure lab, Talon shouted over the chaos. It has independent defenses. Archer provided covering fire as they retreated toward a concealed door at the rear of the chamber. Theron and 2 other council members had already disappeared, while the others were engaged in firefights across the room. The secure lab turned out to be an expansive research facility hidden behind the council chamber. As the heavy doors sealed behind them, Archer found himself surrounded by technology far beyond the standard galactic science. Neural interfaces, biological samples, and complex machinery whose purpose he couldn't immediately identify. The neural tech, he breathed, recognizing components that matched intelligence briefings. Iona moved to a central console, fingers flying across controls. "Help me secure the prototype. It can't fall into mercenary hands." "Why would mercenaries want neural technology?" Archer asked, watching her carefully while maintaining tactical awareness of their surroundings. Tylan answered while activating defense systems. "Because it's not just neural tech. It's the first non-invasive consciousness transfer system. Voluntary medical miracle or forced mind control, depending on who wields it. Which is why I've been sabotaging the military applications," Iona added without looking up from her work. "Father wants weapons. I want healing." The revelation hit Archer like a physical blow. Iona wasn't complicit in weapons development. She was actively working against it from within. "You're the leak," he realized. "Alliance intelligence has been receiving data on the program." Iona's hands stilled momentarily. "Not Alliance, Independent Medical Ethics Consortium." Her eyes narrowed. "How would you know about intelligence reports?" Before Archer could formulate a response, the lab's security monitors showed Theron Inveri entering an emergency evacuation pod with a metallic case, clearly containing something valuable. "He's taking the prototype," Tylon hissed. "Let him," Iona replied, surprising both men. "That version has a fatal flaw in the neural mapping sequence. It will never work as a weapon." She turned to Archer, her expression a complex mixture of suspicion and hope. "Now, Commander Ray, perhaps you should explain why an Alliance medic is so well-informed about classified intelligence regarding our research." The moment of truth had arrived sooner than expected. Archer weighed his options, acutely aware that his mission parameters had just been completely upended. If Iona was working against weaponization, she was technically an ally, not a target. "I think," he said carefully, "we might be on the same side after all." A distant explosion rocked the lab, cutting off further conversation. The mercenaries were still coming. "Explanations later," Talon insisted, moving toward a secondary exit. "We need to reach the emergency shuttles." As they hurried through the hidden corridor, Archer caught Iona's arm, pulling her close. "Whatever happens next, last night wasn't part of any mission." Her luminescent patterns pulsed briefly with emotion. "Prove it," she whispered, "by helping me keep this technology from becoming a weapon." Their eyes locked in silent communication, bodies close enough to feel the heat between them. Despite the danger, despite the secrets and divided loyalties, the connection they'd forged remained undeniable. "Deal," Archer agreed, sealing his decision with a quick, fierce kiss that left them both breathless. Tylon cleared his throat from further down the corridor. "If you two are finished negotiating your alliance, we have mercenaries to evade." The emergency escape tunnel terminated at a private docking bay where Talon's research vessel awaited, a sleek craft disguised as a luxury yacht, but packed with advanced technology. "We need to reach my facility on Helios Minor," Talon explained as they hurried aboard. "It's off corporate records, completely independent." Archer provided covering fire as the last of the mercenaries discovered their escape route. A plasma bolt sizzled past his ear, superheating the air with a distinctive crack. He returned fire, dropping the attacker, but not before another shot grazed his side. "Archer!" Iona cried as he stumbled into the ship. "Just a scratch," he grunted, though the burning sensation suggested otherwise. Plasma wounds were notorious for their deceptive severity. Minimal external damage often masked an extensive internal trauma. The ship's engines roared to life as Talon took the controls. They lurched away from the station, immediately executing evasive maneuvers as pursuit craft launched after them. "Incoming transmission," Talon announced. "It's Father." Theron Inveri's stern face appeared on the main view screen. "Disappointing, children, especially you, Iona. I expected betrayal from your half-brother, but not from my heir." "You betrayed our family's principles first," Iona replied coldly. "The technology was meant to heal, not enslave." "Naive as always," Theron sneered. "The Krell Dominion has already paid handsomely for the prototype. Their neural compliance requirements are extensive. Archer felt a chill despite the growing fever from his wound. The Krell, a militaristic empire on the galaxy's outer rim, were notorious for their subjugation techniques. The prototype is flawed, Iona countered. The neural mapping sequence will degrade within hours. Theron's smile was chilling. A problem already solved by our Krell partners. Their biological expertise complements our technology perfectly. His gaze shifted to Archer. I see you brought your human pet along. How quaint. The transmission ended abruptly as Talon executed a jump to FTL, leaving the station and pursuit craft behind. He's bluffing, Iona insisted, though uncertainty tinged her voice. The degradation issue was fundamental. Archer tried to respond, but found himself suddenly unable to stand. The plasma wound was worse than he'd thought. The characteristic spreading burn pattern indicated internal damage. He's going into shock, Talon observed clinically as Archer collapsed. Iona caught him, easing him onto a medical berth that extended from the bulkhead. Her cool hands moved with practiced efficiency, cutting away his clothing to expose the wound. A plasma disruption to the autonomic nervous system, she diagnosed, activating medical scanners. Conventional treatment won't work fast enough. Through the haze of pain, Archer watched her face, the determined set of her jaw, the worry in her eyes. Beautiful even now, with her silver hair falling forward as she worked. There's only one option, she told her brother. We need to use the neural interface prototype. The beta version? Talon sounded alarmed. It's untested between species. It's either that or watch him die, Iona snapped. The plasma disruption is spreading through his nervous system. In 20 minutes, it reaches his brain stem. Archer struggled to focus. What are you proposing? Iona's cool hand cupped his cheek. A neural bridge. My consciousness temporarily linked with yours to guide your nervous system through healing. My Azurian physiology naturally resists plasma disruption. Never been done between species? Archer managed. No, she admitted, but the theoretical models suggest compatibility. Your massage techniques worked on my physiology after all. Despite the gravity of the situation, a weak smile tugged at his lips. Started with a massage. Might as well end with one. Her luminescent patterns pulsed with emotion. This won't be the end. I won't allow it. Talon prepared the equipment, a sleek headset for each of them, connected to a central processing unit. The interface creates a shared consciousness space, he explained. Iona will essentially enter your nervous system to guide the healing process. Intimate, Archer murmured, his vision beginning to blur. More than you can imagine, Iona replied softly. Our minds will be completely open to each other. No secrets. The implication hung between them. All his mission details, all her family knowledge, laid bare to each other. Do it, Archer decided. Trust had to start somewhere. The neural interface activated with a gentle hum. Archer felt a strange doubling of perception. He was still on the medical berth, but simultaneously floating in a vast abstract space of neural pathways and synaptic connections. Iona appeared beside him in this mental landscape, her form glowing with the same bioluminescent patterns as her physical body. Here you are, her voice echoed directly in his mind. Your consciousness architecture is fascinating. Yours too, he responded, marveling at the intricate, crystalline structure of her thoughts. So ordered, yet creative. Follow me, she guided, leading him through his own neural network to the damaged areas. See how the plasma energy disrupts the natural flow? We need to redirect and heal. Together, they worked through his nervous system, her consciousness showing his how to repair the damage. The intimacy was profound, beyond physical, beyond emotional. Every memory, every feeling, every secret laid bare between them. He saw her childhood in the Vari compound, the pressure of being the heir, her passion for healing technology. She witnessed his military training, his secret missions, his orders regarding her family. You were sent to spy on us, she observed without judgment. Yes, he acknowledged, but I've already decided not to follow those orders. The healing progressed as they explored each other's minds. Archer felt the plasma damage receding, replaced by renewed neural function. But something else was happening, unexpected connections forming between their consciousness patterns. Talon, Iona called mentally to her brother. who monitored from outside. Something's changing in the interface. Your patterns are synchronizing, Talon's voice came through. And I've never seen anything like it. Human and Azurian neural structures shouldn't be compatible at this level. The synchronization intensified, creating sensations that transcended physical experience. Every pleasure center in Archer's brain activated simultaneously, mirrored in Iona's consciousness. The feedback loop between them created ecstasy beyond anything either had experienced. A union of minds more intimate than any physical coupling. When the interface finally deactivated, Archer gasped back to full consciousness, his body completely healed. Iona slumped beside him, equally affected by the experience. "That was," she whispered, unable to find adequate words. "Yeah," he agreed, equally speechless. Talon cleared his throat, studying the neural readings with scientific fascination. "Congratulations, you've just created the first successful human-Azurian neural bond. And according to these readings, it's permanent." Talon's facility on Helios Minor was hidden beneath an abandoned mining operation, accessible only through a series of automated security checkpoints that scan for genetic markers. The ship docked in an underground hangar carved directly from the planet's dense bedrock. "Welcome to my actual laboratory," Talon announced as they entered a vast chamber filled with equipment far more advanced than even the Envari corporate labs. Free from Father's oversight and corporate espionage, Archer walked beside Iona, acutely aware of her presence in a way that transcended physical proximity. The neural bond pulsed between them like a living thing, transmitting emotional echoes and occasional clear thoughts. When her hand brushed his, a cascade of shared sensations rippled through the connection. "You're amused," she observed, responding to an emotion he hadn't consciously projected. "Just thinking how this all started with a simple leg massage," Archer replied, "and now I can literally feel your thoughts." "Not all of them," she corrected. "The bond seems selective. Stronger emotions, physical sensations, and thoughts directed at each other transmit more clearly." Talon led them to a central workstation surrounded by holographic displays. "I've been analyzing your neural patterns since the interface. The results are unprecedented." The displays showed intricate neural maps, one blue, Iona, one red, Archer, and a third in purple where the patterns had merged. "Your massage techniques created the initial compatibility," Talon explained, highlighting specific neural pathways. "Human therapeutic touch apparently resonates with Azurian nervous systems in ways our scientists never anticipated. When the neural interface activated, it found these pre-existing pathways and expanded them. Creating a permanent bond," Archer finished. "More than that," Talon continued excitedly, "you've created a hybrid neural architecture that solves the fundamental flaw in our technology. The human capacity for adaptive neural plasticity, combined with Azurian synaptic precision, it's the solution we've been seeking for years." Iona stepped closer to the display. "You're saying our bond could be the template for perfecting the neural transfer technology, making it purely therapeutic?" "Exactly." Talon's eyes gleamed with scientific enthusiasm. "But extracting the template would require both of you to undergo a complete neural mapping procedure." "Is it dangerous?" Archer asked, already sensing Iona's concern through their bond. "Not physically," Talon hedged, "but psychologically. The procedure would temporarily amplify your bond to its maximum potential. Every memory, every emotion, every sensation shared completely. Nothing hidden." The implication hung in the air between them. Archer felt Iona's apprehension mirroring his own. Not fear of sharing, but fear of what complete vulnerability might mean for feelings that were still evolving. "We need time to consider this," Iona decided. "Meanwhile, we have a more urgent problem." "Father's deal with the Krell." Talon nodded, switching the displays to show shipping manifests. "The prototype is being transported to Krell space aboard Father's personal yacht. Delivery in 18 hours. "Can we intercept?" Archer asked, military training kicking in. "Not without alerting every Envari security force in the sector," Talon replied. "But there might be another way." He brought up schematics of the neural prototype. "If we can broadcast a specific disruption signal calibrated to the prototype's frequency, we could render it permanently inoperable before the Krell can replicate it. We'd need to be within transmission range," Iona noted, And we'd need the exact calibration frequency, added Talon, which would require our neural template, Archer finished, the realization dawning through the bond simultaneously for both him and Iona. They retired to private quarters to discuss the implications while Talon prepared the necessary equipment. The room was Spartan but comfortable, with a viewport overlooking Helios Minor's perpetual sunset. I can feel your conflict, Iona said softly as they stood watching the crimson sky. Your duty to the Alliance versus your feelings for me. Archer turned to face her. The Alliance sent me to stop a weapon. That mission hasn't changed. He took her hands in his. But everything else has. Through their bond flowed the truth of his words, his growing feelings for her, his determination to help her cause, his willingness to risk everything. When you healed me, he continued, I felt everything you are. Your compassion, your determination to use this technology to help others. I believe in that vision now, too. Iona's luminescent patterns pulsed with emotion. And I felt your honor, your courage. So different from Azurian men who calculate every action for advantage. She stepped closer, the neural bond intensifying with proximity. Among my people, a neural connection is considered more intimate than physical joining. Many Azurians never experience it, fearing such vulnerability. And now we have it permanently, Archer observed, his fingers tracing the patterns on her arm, sending pleasurable sensations echoing through their shared consciousness. Yes, she whispered, though there are still physical experiences we might explore further. The suggestion sent a wave of desire cascading through their bond, amplified by shared sensation. When their lips met, the neural connection transformed a simple kiss into an overwhelming experience, each feeling the other's pleasure simultaneously, creating a feedback loop of intensifying sensation. They moved to exploration becoming inevitable as the bond transmitted every touch, every caress multiplied between them. What followed transcended ordinary intimacy, a joining of bodies enhanced by their mental connection, each experiencing the other's pleasure as their own. Afterward, they lay entwined, the neural bond humming contentedly between them. Physical satisfaction deepened by the emotional transparency their connection provided. I understand now, Archer murmured against her hair. What? Iona asked, her patterns glowing softly in the dim light. Why that leg massage affected you so strongly? Azurian physiology, neural sensitivity. I was accidentally stimulating pathways that created this compatibility between us. She laughed softly. The most consequential massage in galactic history. A chime from the communication system interrupted their moment of peace. I've completed the preparations, Talon announced, and received intelligence that Father has accelerated the delivery timeline. We need to proceed with the neural mapping immediately if we're going to stop the transfer. They dressed quickly, exchanging a look of determination. Ready to share everything? Archer asked, extending his hand. Iona took it, her fingers intertwining with his. I already am. The neural mapping chamber resembled a meditation sanctuary more than a laboratory. Soft ambient lighting, comfortable recliners positioned facing each other, and delicate sensor arrays that would monitor their enhanced connection. The procedure will amplify your existing bond approximately tenfold, Talon explained, attaching gossamer-thin neural interfaces to their temples. You'll experience complete consciousness transparency. I'll extract the hybrid template while you're connected. Archer settled into his recliner, facing Iona. Will we maintain awareness of our surroundings? Minimally, Talon replied. Your primary experience will be the shared consciousness space. I recommend focusing on your mission objective, identifying the disruption frequency for the prototype. Iona reached across the small gap between them, taking Archer's hand. Whatever we discover in there, we face it together. The activation sequence began with a gentle hum. Archer felt the familiar sensation of consciousness expansion, but exponentially more powerful than before. The physical world faded as he and Iona merged into their shared mental landscape, a breathtaking fusion of human and Azurian perception. It's beautiful, Iona's thoughts came with perfect clarity. Their combined consciousness floated through a vast neural network, pathways illuminated in complementary colors where their minds intersected. Memories flowed freely between them. Archer's childhood on Earth, Iona's formative years in the Anvari compound. their respective careers and choices. Then came unexpected memories. Theron Navari in a secure communication chamber, his usual confidence replaced by uncharacteristic fear. "You will deliver the prototype as agreed," a distorted Krell voice demanded from a shadowed holographic projection, "or your mate and daughter will suffer the consequences." The memory shifted to show a holding cell where an Azurian female and young child were confined, clearly Theron's second family kept secret from the corporate world. He's being blackmailed, Iona realized, the shock rippling through their shared consciousness. Father isn't selling the technology willingly. He's trying to save his secret family. The revelation transformed their understanding of the situation. Through their amplified connection, they accessed deeper layers of the neural technology's architecture, seeing how it could be reconfigured. There, Archer identified, focusing their shared consciousness on a specific frequency pattern. That's the disruption key, but if we use it, the Krell will likely execute the hostages. Their merged minds worked with unprecedented synergy, human intuition blending with Azurian precision to explore alternatives. "What if we don't disable the prototype," Iona suggested, "but reprogram it instead?" The idea blossomed between them, using their hybrid neural pattern to transform the prototype from a potential weapon into a liberation tool. The Krell would receive their technology, but altered to function only for healing and voluntary consciousness transfer. As they formulated the plan, Talon's voice came distantly from the physical world. "I've extracted the template, remarkable structure, beginning calibration for the disruption signal." "Wait!" they communicated simultaneously. "We need to modify the plan." The intensity of their shared consciousness began to recede as the procedure approached completion. Before separating fully, they lingered in the intimate mental space they created together. "I never imagined finding someone who would understand me so completely." Iona's thoughts caressed his. "I came to your station on a mission," Archer responded, "but found something I never knew I was searching for." Their consciousness began to disentangle, but the profound connection remained, altered, strengthened by what they'd shared. Reality reasserted itself gradually. Archer blinked, adjusting to physical perception again as Talon removed the neural interfaces. "Did you get what you needed?" Iona asked her brother, her hand still clasped with Archer's. "More than expected," Talon confirmed, studying the data. "But I heard your communication. You want to reprogram rather than disable?" "Father is being coerced," Iona explained. "The Krell are holding his secret family hostage." Talon's expression registered shock, then understanding. "That explains his erratic behavior these past months, but reprogramming the prototype remotely would require our neural bond," Archer finished. "We can use it as a transmission conduit, leveraging the compatibility we've established with the technology." The next hours passed in focused preparation. Using the extracted neural template, Talon created a modified program that would transform the prototype's function while appearing to operate as the Krell expected. Archer and Iona would serve as the transmission medium, their bond creating a secure channel that couldn't be detected or intercepted. As the yacht carrying Theron and the prototype approached Krell space, they made final preparations in Talon's control center. "The transmission will temporarily reactivate your amplified connection," Talon warned. "The experience will be intense." Archer and Iona exchanged glances, remembering their earlier intimacy, both physical and mental. "We can handle intense," Archer assured him with a smile that sent a pleasant shiver through their bond. They positioned themselves in specially designed chairs, neural enhancers ready to channel their connection. Before the activation, Archer turned to Iona. "When this is over," he said softly, "I need to return to Alliance space to file my report." A flicker of concern crossed her face. "I'd like you to come with me," he continued. "The Alliance Medical Division would benefit enormously from your expertise with this technology. And He paused, emotions flowing freely through their bond. "I don't want to be separated from you." Her luminescent patterns pulsed with joy. "I was hoping you'd ask. There's nothing left for me in Invari space now." "Transmission window opening," Talon announced. "Ready?" They nodded in unison. The neural enhancers activated, and once again they plunged into shared consciousness. But this time with purpose and direction. Their combined minds reached across space, finding the unique signature of the prototype aboard Theron's yacht. Together, they rewrote its fundamental programming, transforming potential enslavement into healing possibility. The work was delicate, requiring perfect synchronization of their thoughts and abilities. When it was complete, they gradually returned to normal consciousness, exhausted but triumphant. Transmission successful, Talon confirmed. The prototype has been reprogrammed. When the Krell activate it, they'll receive a medical device, not a weapon. And Father's family? Iona asked. I've already dispatched a rescue team, Talon assured her. Anonymous tip to Alliance intelligence about Krell hostages. They'll be extracted before the Krell realize what's happened. 3 weeks later, Archer stood at the observation deck of the Alliance medical headquarters on Earth, watching shuttles arrive from across the galaxy. Iona's ship was scheduled to dock any minute, bringing her and the revolutionary neural healing technology that was already being hailed as the most significant medical breakthrough in centuries. The neural bond between them had settled into a comfortable, constant presence, less overwhelming than during their amplified connection, but a reassuring link that transcended physical distance. Even across star systems, he'd felt her presence, her emotions, occasional clear thoughts when she focused on him. As her shuttle docked and the airlock cycled, their bond flared with anticipation. Then she was there, silver hair gleaming, turquoise skin luminous under Earth's natural sunlight. "Welcome to Earth," he said, though words seemed inadequate after the intimacy they'd shared. "It's beautiful," she replied, taking his hand. Through their bond flowed everything words couldn't express: joy at reunion, excitement for their future, and the deep affection that had grown from an unexpected encounter in a station lounge. Hard to believe it all started with a leg massage, Archer mused as they walked toward the medical complex, where researchers eagerly awaited the technology she brought. Iona's laughter was like music, perhaps the most consequential massage in galactic history. "I don't know about galactic," he teased, pulling her close, "but it certainly changed my universe." Their kiss was both a promise and a celebration, of barriers crossed, of differences embraced, of a future neither could have imagined before his hands had eased her pain and set them both on an extraordinary journey. Behind them, Earth's sun set in spectacular colors, casting their joined silhouettes across the observation deck. Human and Azurian, together bridging worlds with a touch that had started it all.